What's shaking, everyone? So in this video here today, I'm going to give you 5 reasons why, if you are a left-leaning individual, Joe Biden's not the worst choice in the world. And I will also do that by not bringing up the name Donald Trump, because for most leftists out there that are considering voting for or are definitely going to be voting for the Biden-Harris ticket, a lot of the time you hear he's not Donald Trump, or, oh, Donald Trump opposes this, so I have to vote against him. No, I have 5 points in this video that you can use to back up your inclinations, or maybe it's just stuff that you don't quite know about. And while I might be a staunch Trump supporter, I at least can understand why somebody would vote for Joe. And that's what I'm going to try to explain in this video here. And before we do that, I just want to thank everybody for giving me the time of day to click on this video here. And hopefully you learned something. And if there's something you would like to discuss about this video, or a future topic that you would like discussed as well, feel free to drop it in that comment section down below. And while you're down there, if you don't mind hitting that subscribe button, or just doing something as simple as hitting the like button, because that helps grow the channel. And hell, that's what I'm trying to do over here. I'm trying to grow this channel so we make it into something that is different than what you see in the mainstream. So first and foremost, point number 1 is Joe Biden looks the part of a president. You see a picture of him here. He looks presidential. It's a guy who, when he's talking at a rally, he sounds like an old school politician, somebody that is kind of out of your mind, somebody that doesn't come across as combative, somebody who sounds very compassionate in their speech. And that's just not what he used to sound like. Even when he does read the teleprompter, it does sound genuine, and he does seem to give a shit about what he's actually talking about. Like, there's the old trope of Joe being Joe. He mixes up his words, he says a bunch of goofy shit, but that makes him affable. That makes him relatable to people out there, and I think that's definitely a good point. That is something that previous candidates have lacked, and that is definitely a positive for Joe. My second point is experience. We all know he's been in the public sector for 47 years now. Now, even though that makes him, well, he's 77 years old, there's no two ways around it. It also shows you that he's been around these people for just about half a century. He knows how to work with them. He wouldn't be in office for this long if he didn't know how to politic his way through the House, through the Senate, and even when he was vice president, in order to make the Republicans and the Democrats come together in order to work together for the benefit of the country. The guy knows how to make things happen with Dianne Feinstein, who is probably not going anywhere. Nancy Pelosi, same deal. And even with the new wave of Democrats and Republicans coming in, they still have to listen to the elder statesmen that are out there, and Joe Biden definitely fits that bill. For the good or for the bad, the guy knows his way around Washington. And also, being vice president, he got a chance to meet with a lot of prolific heads of government in different parts of the world. Because even still, he was the chair on a lot of significant committees, like the Judiciary Committee in the Senate. And just because he was vice president, that wasn't the only time that Joe held a significant position in government. So you can't discredit the 47 years. The man made a lot of inroads in there, and it'll make it a very smooth transition if he does win the election in November. Now, the last 3 points are on the policy of the Biden-Harris ticket. Point number 3 is he is looking to decriminalize marijuana. I've got this story pulled up here. Cannabis and the presidential race. Biden-Harris pledged to decriminalize marijuana. Democratic vice presidential nominee and California Senator Kamala Harris put marijuana policy on the agenda as an issue in the November presidential election, promising that she and former Vice President Joe Biden would decriminalize cannabis. I don't see this as a major thing, but it is a nice thing to do. A lot of people are in jail right now based on trumped up drug charges that, in my opinion, if you're just using it for yourself, there's no reason for it to be criminalized. And this could also just lead to a lot of different deregulations for a lot of other non-violent crimes that need not have prison sentences attached to them. From a libertarian perspective, it's definitely a positive thing and something good that you can point to on the platform for the Biden-Harris ticket. Fourth point kind of centers around the environment and the green economy that is emerging. like it or not, one day in the not too distant future, we're going to be moving away from fossil fuels. Natural gas, as clean burning as it is not going to be around forever. Oil and coal are eventually going to be replaced with viable alternatives in wind, in solar, hopefully nuclear, because it is very, very clean. And the Biden-Harris ticket is very much committed to green jobs as well as a much more green environment. So this is just a point on the climate change portion of what they're after. Biden has called climate change an existential threat and says he will rally the rest of the world to act more quickly on curbing emissions by rejoining the Paris Climate Accord. That agreement, which redacted, withdrew from committed the U.S. to cutting greenhouse gases by up to 28% by 2025, based on 2005 levels. Though he does not embrace the Green New Deal, a climate and jobs package put forward by the left wing of his party, he has proposed a $1.7 trillion federal investment in green technology research, some of which overlaps with the funding of his economic plans to be spent over the next 10 years and warrants the U.S. to reach a net zero emissions by 2050, a commitment that was made by more than 60 other countries last year. And that was also another big point that he brought up during the debates, that he is very committed to retrofitting buildings to meet up with new green energy standards, and that would in turn create a lot of federal jobs out there. So there is a plan to create new jobs, new economic growth that'll lead to a cleaner world, if that is something that you consider to be high priority. And the final point is he's very, very probably the most pro gun control candidate that we've seen, at least in modern times, in my opinion. So what we got here is the Biden plan to end our gun violence epidemic. Biden knows that gun violence is a public health epidemic. Almost 40,000 people die as a result of firearm injuries every year in the United States, and many more are wounded. Joe Biden has been instrumental in the recent legislation. Well, recent is a bit of a misnomer. It was within the past 30 years at least. The 1994 assault weapons ban, and then, as it says here, in 1993 he shepherded through Congress the Brady Handgun Violence Prevention Act, which established the background check system that has since kept more than 3 million firearms out of dangerous hands. And then, the previously mentioned 1994, Biden, along with Senator Dianne Feinstein, secured the passage of a 10 years ban on assault weapons and high-capacity magazines. As president, Joe Biden will defeat the NRA again. He has been successful against the National Rifle Association lobby, even though the 94 assault weapons ban was eventually overturned. He did get it through Congress, he did get it through the Senate, and that goes to show that kind of adds up with the second point, where he is able to work with the different branches of government in order to achieve legislation becoming law. And those are 5 points that I can see that aren't Trump-centric that you can look to the Biden-Harris ticket to be trying to enact in the future if they are in fact elected. I'm done pretending thinking any of these ideas are good. I hate every single one of them, with the exception of the cannabis decriminalization. I could give a fuck about that. That is not even remotely on my radar anymore. I could give a fuck. If you want to smoke yourself into a perpetual green out, fucking be my guest. If you want to just sit there and Cheeto dust for the rest of your life, absolutely go for it. There's also a slippery slope argument, kind of like my tongue right now, that can be made if you decriminalize marijuana, then eventually it leads to the decriminalization of heroin and cocaine. But who knows, because there's so many slippery slopes out there right now that it's very much a possibility that will happen, but at the same time, that just fucking let those burnt out old hippies, fucking Biden for once. Okay, man. I think there's more than enough old burnouts that'd be willing to give the Democratic ticket a try, even though it would be voting against your best interests, something that the left loves to say on a perpetual basis when they aren't wishing death on the president from the COVID. Fucking disgusting human beings. But if you took the time to watch this video, I greatly appreciate it. It's 5 talking points that people don't like to bring up because it's more important to just yell, "Orange man bad, therefore vote for Biden." But those are, 5 reasons where you can vote for the Biden-Harris ticket with an absolute clean conscience. And I can't believe that video was as hard to make as it was, but in order to better understand your enemy, you have to know their motives. And that was the entire point of this video. And I thank you guys for taking the time to watch it. I've been Don Consuelo, and I want you guys to follow your gut and get after it. Take care, everyone.